Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the TCRA Can TV show. And our guest tonight is Rick Garcia. I'm spacing out. Somebody tell me my name, please. No, this is Jackie McKethan, and we're so glad to have Rick with us. Rick is an activist and also a lobbyist and has worked on a lot of LGBT legislation. First of all, before we get into a conversation, I do want to remind you that this show is interactive, and you can see on your screen that you can call 312-738-1060, operator standing by. Okay? Also, want to tell you that the show is sponsored by the Civil Rights Agenda at 2129 Northwestern Avenue. Phone number is there. If you have any questions or would like to, volunteer in any way to help the LGBT community, you are more than welcome and encouraged to do so. Okay? So, I think I want to start off real quick with two things that have happened since our last show. One is very good news, and Mr. Garcia is going to Rick's going to tell us a lot about some of this stuff. But the Palatine use of the same use of locker rooms and restrooms in the Palatine school system has now been determined by a sitting judge, and they have to comply to let transgenders use the washroom and the locker rooms, which the student identifies with nothing to do with what their birth gender was. And in Elgin, the president of the school board issued a directive that they will comply with the government's initiatives regarding this. So at least Elgin is not going to go to court. Okay? Tell us a little bit, Rick, what this means. I know Aurora hasn't yet, capitulated?
Well, I wouldn't say that. Aurora has not done the right thing, in that Aurora, the school board in Aurora, had a policy a couple of years ago that said that transgender students would be treated fairly and equitably in all the facilities of the school. Mm-hmm. And some people who have animosity mm-hmm. toward lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, mm-hmm. and especially transgender people, went to the school board and tried to fight it. Unfortunately, initially, the Aurora School Board set up a committee mm-hmm.
to
study this. And after the second meeting, the second hearing of mm-hmm. this committee, the president of the school board, a complete and total numbnut, said, "Thank you for your service, we're dissolving this committee," and reverted
back to the old
policy, which is totally unacceptable. And so what is good about this is now we're seeing courts coming in and weighing in for what is fair and right and just,
mm-hmm.
and that bodes well because it's unfortunate, but this is our history. We've had to go before courts, sometimes legislatures, but usually courts. We have to go before courts to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and equitably. And I think one of the arguments we hear from with schools,
mm-hmm.
we hear from parents, but a small number of students, like extremely small number of students,
right.
But we hear from parents that we are uncomfortable with a trans person. They usually don't use that nice of language. They use other kinds of imagery.
Right.
But we are uncomfortable with them in the shower room, them in the bathroom. Frankly, what they don't say, but it's true, we don't want them anywhere around us. That's their heart. But, not too long ago, and not too far away, people were uncomfortable with certain ethnic folks being in the swimming pool or using the same bathroom or sitting in the same movie theater. And the problem here is not trans people, it's people who are so sensitive and so uncomfortable. Get over your uncomfortableness and stop being homophobic, transphobic, racist. Stop being that way. They're the ones with the problem, not any of us up in here.
What I find, and you touched on it back there, it's amazing. The kids are not as phobic about all of this stuff as it is the parents.
It is really,
and the parents don't go to school there, so why should they?
It is a generational thing, and frankly, you have people that have moved as far out as they can go so that they don't have to abide by what was happening in the cities many years ago. And they don't want diversity. They want everybody to be Wonder Bread. We all look alike. We all think alike. We all talk alike. We all go to the same church. And that's not America, and that's not American values.
It's not reality.
It's not reality.
Absolutely.
Totally not reality. And you can't brush segments of our society under the carpet. You can't push them out the door. What gives me hope is that when they try to push us under the carpet, when they try to throw us out the door or barricade the door, happily, right now, we are increasingly proud and strong and don't mess with us. Because we have the courts increasingly behind us, the Supreme Court behind us. This presidential administration has done an enormous amount for the equality of LGBT people. And so we're on the right path. And we really have to make sure that we stay on that path. That we can't go back to a time where you can demonize your neighbor, you can lie about your neighbor, you can disparage your neighbor, you can disrespect your neighbor. We are moving closer to the time where all of us come together and respect each other. We may not like each other, but we have to respect each other. And we don't have to marry each other. We just mind our own business and let everybody else mind their own business. I think that's what the bottom line is.
Yeah, live and let live. Why can't we do that? It's not like anybody in the LGBT community is asking anybody out there to become LGBT, okay, or we're not trying to force our lifestyle on anyone. We're just asking, leave us alone. Quit worrying about what we're doing and worry about what you're doing.
I have been a gay civil rights activist for a long time, 30-something years. And one of the things that I always ran into when talking to people from the LGBT community is, I just wish they left me alone. People have been discriminated at work. They have experienced harassment at work. They've been victims of violence. And they say, why can't they just leave me alone? I go to work or I go to school. I pay my taxes, unlike some presidential candidate, I must say. And, we're just doing good things in our community. So leave us alone. Take your hatred, take your bigotry, take your ignorance someplace else.
Exactly. And the same with washrooms. It's like, okay, women are not complaining as much as men are complaining.
Well, you have politicians complaining. right-wing politicians who think that this will gather them votes. And it makes no sense. You know, recently, well, the city of Chicago, 2002, I think, passed a transgender rights ordinance.
Cool.
And right before it was coming up for the vote, the mayor at the time called us and said, or asked, well, what bathrooms do these people use? And, you know, we said, well, whatever bathroom is appropriate. And he hemmed and hawed, and he said, well, no, I think we have to have some kind of protection there. Now, I don't know who's being protected from whom, because most trans people I know, or trans kids or gender variant people, don't want to go into the bathroom because they're afraid they're going to be beaten up, that they're going to be harassed. That's a huge thing. But so when it came down time for the vote, they said, well, could we put in the bathroom that trans folks use is according to their state-issued or government-issued ID. And we said, what is like, who's going to check the ID to go into the toilet? But we said, you know, if that's what's going to take to did it there, so there was a what we call the bathroom clause that was in there. But happily, just this summer, the city council rescinded that clause. So there's like, because A, it's unenforceable, and who's going to look at it?
We have a caller. Hello, caller. Caller? Are you there? Hello?
Well,
We must have lost the caller. Hello? Are you there? Okay, we must have
too
lost the
bad.
caller.
Call back. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I got a kick out of, well, first of all, one thing, when I was in Washington, D.C. last June for the National Organization for Women's national meeting, and I asked many, many women there the question, would it bother you to have a transgender person in the washroom? And invariably, and there were people there from North Carolina, blah, 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 and every one of them said, no, there's nothing to see, number one. Number two, they're not intimidated, okay? And the other point of this is that, you know what's happening, see, is there's people out there that think LGBTs are expendable. So they're not concerned about whether you and I get harassed and beat up or raped or whatever by using, for me, the men's room. Okay? I'm expendable. I don't count. So, yeah.
Well, and I think
that's what it boils down
and
to.
I think there's even a bigger issue, is that you have, and this all started with the moral majority a long time ago. Look at the polls, and they did that in the 80s. Look at the polls, and what scares Americans? Or do Americans support gay rights, as we used to call it? And in those days, no. And so right-wing, both Republican and Democrat, we have to be clear about this, would go out and say these anti-gay things in the hope of getting people to rile them up. But the polling has changed. They look more foolish all the time. And it's a detriment now to not be behind fairness and equality for LGBT people.
Okay, we have a caller. Caller, go ahead. Hello? 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 Are you there? Do you have a question or a comment? Once again.
Oh, caller?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know. Some,
Sorry, I guess I think we got disconnected a few moments ago. I'm not sure if you heard anything of what I said, so I'm going to repeat it as best to my ability.
That's fine.
I was flipping through cable and caught you guys and part of your conversation, and I guess some of it for me as an African American mom, I don't want to be in the bathroom with someone who doesn't have the same parts that I have or that my daughter has. I think they have family bathrooms in a lot of public places, and most times I use those because it's more private. That is a way to eliminate a lot of the discrimination or issues that are happening between LGBT community wanting to use the bathroom that they identify with. I think people have a right to choose. You don't have a right to make me want to agree with your lifestyle.
Exactly. I have a right to choose too. And I can choose the washroom I go to.
Let me do it.
And I'm going to be respectful of who you are and what you do, and I expect the same. But I don't want to be in the bathroom with my daughter and a guy right next to the same stall. I think that's inappropriate, and it's not about you choosing to be there. There's bathrooms.
Okay, will you allow the guest to comment, please?
Let me say
or
something to her.
One of the private bathrooms that say family unit.
Ma'am,
you know, I do that when I have my child. I'll choose to go into that one.
Okay, you've got a comment. Let my guest answer your comment.
You know what? You're largely correct. You have a great solution to this. Use the family bathrooms. Use the family bathrooms, the private bathrooms, and then you have no problem.
But there's not a lot of family washrooms out there.
Exactly, and there are cases where there aren't family bathrooms. So because I am female and I have a daughter, I go in.
Ma'am, let me ask you a question.
And if you have boy parts,
ma'am, let me ask you a question.
Then do that. Go into the boy bathroom.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish. You can ask me just a second.
Well, we're running out of time here, frankly.
Complete change. If you've gone through the complete change and now you have female parts, then sure, go into the female bathroom. But I don't think that you should be in that restroom that's marked as female and you have boy parts.
I want to say this. First of all, you can't see anything, neither can the transgender, because they're all stalls. So you can't see anything, your daughter can't see anything, and the transgender can't see anything.
I still do not want to be in the bathroom.
Then you're not.
My child,
let me go.
And I'm a female, and I have a daughter with a guy.
Ma'am,
that's the
ma'am.
That's very simple. I think that you are so way off base with that.
Well, let me say something to you.
If you identify with women, then go ahead and do the complete change, and then we have no issue. But don't come into that bathroom with little girls and other women and make us feel uncomfortable.
Ma'am, let me tell you something. Not too long ago and not too far away, there were white ladies who would not want to be in a bathroom with you or your daughter. And there were not integrated bathrooms. There were black bathrooms and white bathrooms, Negro bathrooms and white bathrooms. And if there wasn't a Negro bathroom, you just had to hold it or go in the field. So, and I make that analogy because people were, quote, uncomfortable then. But you know what? They had to get over it. And so do people today. So that all of our neighbors and our friends and even our family can use the appropriate bathroom. And for transgender people, that is appropriate. And when you see a transgender person, how do you know, a female transgender person, how do you know whether she has, what parts she has, unless you're snooping over the stall, which is not a good idea.
Well, and the other thing too, and this is to everybody out there, the state of Illinois is one of 20 states, and in 2005, state of Illinois passed a new equal rights legislation which says very emphatically that gender identity cannot be discriminated against in jobs, in housing, or in public conveniences. Public conveniences being washrooms. So Ma'am, you're not telling me which washroom to use. If you don't want to be in there, first of all, I don't know how you know I'm in there, but if you don't want to be in there, then wait.
I guess you said that.
I hope she heard it. This is the discrimination that we're facing, which makes no sense because, as Rick said, okay, you don't know who's in there and who they are or what they are. So, you know, what's the problem?
You know what, and Jackie, let me just say this. I totally recognize that this is a very new concept for some people.
Well, I understand that.
And I also understand that these people may be uncomfortable. But just because one is uncomfortable with something doesn't mean that whatever that something is has to be conformed to the person's uncomfortableness. And, you know, if you're uncomfortable, you have an excellent solution. Find a family bathroom or a single room bathroom, lock the door, and then you can be in there all by your little self. And that takes care of the problem. But don't expect your friends, families, and neighbors to not be able to use a bathroom, not be able to go to a gym, not be able to live their lives freely in this society, because those days are over.
Exactly.
Whether anybody likes it or not.
And that's in every issue, not just bathrooms, but in every issue, you know. And we need to learn to get over our prejudices and understand that everyone, I don't care who or what they are, everyone in this country has equal rights. Simple as that. I think Rick alluded to it before, you know. There's many people out there that feel they've been discriminated against about a lot of things. And those days are over. Unfortunately, we seem to have people that forget when they were discriminated against, but go ahead and do it to others. And that's what we got to get over. Okay? I will admit, before I actually started transitioning, I probably wasn't as tolerant as I am now, because now I understand what discrimination is all about. Now I know how it feels to be discriminated against.
And, you know, I go back to this. I don't know what your experience is, but as a young gay man in grade school and in high school, I was petrified to go into the bathroom because I thought I would be beaten up or thrown against a stall or have my head pushed in a toilet. And so I made sure I did all my business before I got to school. And in those days we went home for lunch, and so took care of everything because I was not going to darken the doorstep of that toilet. And so I think that you know, some people are uncomfortable because who knows why they're uncomfortable, but there has been, and I think and continues to be, fear among transgender people going into bathrooms because they run a chance of being beaten up. You know, recently some crazy woman went out and called the police on a lesbian because this woman thought it was a trans man. No. And she had all the right parts to be in there and all the right ID to be in there. But some crazy fool got real uncomfortable and went hysterical and called the police to have her removed. Now, you know what? Take a deep breath and think about that for a minute.
I agree, totally. And one last thing I got to say is I am not going to the men's room because I'm 1,000 times more likely to get harassed, beat up, or raped in the men's room than I am in the women's room. So you better not, you know, don't go in the bathroom with me if you've got a problem with it. Simple as
Hold
that.
it.
That's right. Thank you all for watching. I will be back next month, same time, same station, 6:30, the third Friday of November. I want to thank Rick so very, very much for being here.
Thank you, Jackie.
He-
I always love coming here.
First of all, he's a very good friend of mine, and he's been on a lot of shows, and we've worked together on a lot of things. But thank you so much.
Hey,
for
thank
being
you.
here. Okay, so till next time, next month, same time, same station. Goodbye.